how to fish. This is going to be it's going to be a long, entailed process, I'm afraid. Hopefully though we'll have some fun with it. And again, I'm going to try real hard to get across to y'all. New people, never fished before, all the way up to maybe some experienced people want to learn some extra stuff. It never hurts to reset and start from zero, okay? So we're going to do a little bit more talking about how to fish. We're going to start the process. I'm D.W. Verts, Hickbilly Outdoors. Let's talk about fishing. Okay, it's a line management issue. Well, what the heck? So, the most important part about fishing and to catch a fish is, it's going to be really hard for y'all to comprehend this. It's a secret. You have to have water. Okay, is that too simple? You have to have water. So we've got ponds like this one. We've got lakes ranging from 5 or 6 acres up to 200,000 acres. We've got rivers, creeks, and streams. I've caught fish in ditches. I used to be a ditch fishing fool when I was a little kid. So you have to have water. And the biggest secret, I guess, is not just the water. Is you have to have water that has fish in it. And not all waters have fish. Luckily for us, at least in my part of the country here in Missouri, most of our waters have some sort of fish in them. Now, as a beginning point again, I'm in central Missouri. But I firmly believe, I know for a fact, that a fish is a fish. They're the same. I've caught them in so many states, especially, they're the same. The biggest difference between where I fish and you fish, maybe besides the species of fish, because there's different species in different states, we don't all have the same fish, the biggest difference is what they eat. So that's going to bring me to my point that I think is the most important part of fishing. This is no bull, this is not me jacking around. The most important part of being a good fisherman, learn how to catch fish, is knowing the fish that you're after. And I know that's going to sound boring, okay? And we'll get to the casting and the baits and the lures and all that. But I am a firm believer that most folks skip to the shortcuts and look too hard at details and equipment and stuff and don't learn the fish. I see it all the time on the internet. You need to know your fish. What are you fishing for? Now, if you're fishing for everything, I promise I'll try to cover everything, at least that I fish for. Okay? But you need to understand the fish. And that means you need to understand what they do throughout the year, because fish change. You need to understand that some fish like deeper water, some fish like shallower water, some fish live everywhere. Actually, most fish can live anywhere, so there you go. So let's talk a little bit about the fish. Doesn't that look nice? I just got done fishing and I caught fish, so that was fun. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about the fish. Now folks, once again, I'll probably say this over and over. Keep this fun. And if fun is taking things to huge detail and studying and really living it, that's great. But it does not have to be that hard. It doesn't have to be that much detail to be a successful fisherman. The biggest thing you need to understand about fish, they are cold-blooded. Whereas we're warm-blooded. Mammals, your cat, your dog, your hamster, your gerbil are warm-blooded. Now, young people may not know what that means. That means our body temperatures stay about the same all the time. For people, it's around 96.8. If it gets very much lower than that, we have problems. If it gets very much higher than that, we have a fever, we have problems. Fish, on the other hand, amongst several other kind of animals, reptiles and such, are cold-blooded. That means that basically their body temperature is the same as the water they're in. So if this water is 80 something degrees, which it is, it's summertime, it's cooled down, but it's warm water, their bodies are warm. In cold water, their bodies are cold. What's that mean? Well, it's this thing called metabolism, and it has a tendency to speed up as the water gets warmer. This is so important because you need to understand that 80-degree water, the fish are more active technically than they are in 40-degree water. Can you catch them in cold water? Absolutely you can catch them, but you have to learn how to slow down, where generally in warm water you speed up to a degree until you don't, and that's too much complicated news for you. You don't have to know all that. Fish are cold-blooded, but not all fish are created equal. Oh, Mr. Bullfrog, which is food for the fish, something else we'll talk about. A lot of minnows here. We'll talk about that someday. Trout, for instance, salmon, tolerate way colder. They won't tolerate hot water. They could not live in 80-degree water. It's amazing the difference between an Arctic grayling or a whitefish, whatever, that live further north mostly, or like the trout here in Missouri live in cold water, spring creeks. I mean cold water, they like 55-degree water. Much over 60, 65, and trout start to suffer, and I'm sure whitefish and grayling and all that's even worse yet. They like that 45-degree water. They spawn in all that cold water. Our fish, most of our fish, and at least this part of the country, they all like, 67-degree water. So the biggest thing I'm going to say is there's so much information on the internet that it'd be more than me to get into. But if you want to learn how to catch bluegill, sunfish, I call them brim, you can type that in on the internet, and there's so much information. I'm going to overgo a lot of things. I'm going to try to cover a lot of stuff. But if you want to catch a specific fish, study on that fish. Learn what that fish likes. Learn that bluegill like warmer water. You can catch them in cold water, but they like 70-degree water or up. So do many fish. Now, my favorite temperature for bass, for catching big bass, is 55 to 60-degree water. Pretty chilly. But I catch them in 100-degree water too. So I've caught them in water that had ice around the edges. Okay. So forget the details and forget all the fancy lures and fancy rods and reels, and learn the fish first, and you will be so far ahead of most people. You'll be ahead of 90% of the people if you just learn something about the fish. Now, if you don't care what kind of fish you catch, I promise we're going to cover that too. If you don't care if it's a catfish or a brim or a crappie or a walleye or whatever, if you don't care, perfect, we're going to cover all that, I promise. So to recap, do not make this hard. Have fun. Fishing is supposed to be fun. You can take it to whatever level you want to take it to, and if the work becomes the fun like it is for me, working at it is fun. Trying to be better all the time is fun. If that goes for you too, wonderful. But learn the basics. Let's learn to fish. You don't have to take it to the level I took it to. I know the difference from my Mystropterus salmoides, from my Lepomis scabosus, from my Ictalurus furcatus. That's Latin. That's how bad I know fish. I went to school for all that stuff. Do not call your mom or dad an Ichthyobus cyprinillus. Ichthyobus cyprinillus. Don't do that. That would be bad. If you want to catch a Cyprianus carpio, a Polydon spatula, I'm done. That's how stupid serious you can take this. But it doesn't catch any fish. Knowledge does not always reign over common sense. If we can learn the fish that we're after, learn what makes nature work. You have to have water to catch fish, and you have to have fish in the water. Is that too basic? Is that too easy? Well, that's where I think we need to start, because I have seen people fish in places that did not have fish and complained about it. You need to know when to give up, you need to know when to move, you need to know when to try someplace else too. And I don't know how much into all that we're going to get. Basically, right now, I'm trying to get a point across, and I hope I do. This pond I'm blessed with, and I'm blessed with a bunch of ponds like this, is full of fish. I caught some real dandy brim out there a while ago. It's got big bass in it. I've seen catfish in it. I never had fish for them. I'm blessed with that. There's places to fish, and truthfully, as far as I'm concerned, a farm pond is about the best place to start fishing or learn how to do something new or learn how to catch fish, because farm ponds are very contained. Most of them have fish, and like this one here, you can fish half of it from the bank pretty easily. So the creeks, streams, rivers, lakes, reservoirs, whatever it takes, you have to have fish. Okay, I think that is going to be enough for now. I did not write a script yet. I'm going to work on that. I'm going to try to get the point across to y'all. Fishing is not as hard as you make it. Some people make it really hard. You do not have to have the latest tackle, the best tackle. Oh my gosh, you don't have to have that. Keep it simple and you will have more fun, I promise. Let's hope we can learn something on this. Anything y'all want to talk about, drop me a line. My new website's up, hickbillyoutdoors.com. There's a place there you can comment and get a hold of me. I gotta go to work, because that's part of fishing. I have to work so I can go fishing. It doesn't work out the other way. God bless you guys. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon.